Get that paper, told that Glock, that's how we live. Yeah, my life's a game, I pray I don't get killed. They can't believe I got to go out this shit for real. Can't accept the fact my brother gone, I wanna kill. Yeah, I can't go for that shit don't sit right. Instead of capping to the old nigga, I know what you live like. Ain't worried about all, just fuck these hoes and live life. I go on the drill, I'm smart enough, you got no.
After the match, Isagi and Reo would meet up, standing on the rooftop of a building, watching the sunset. They recall everything that happened in just a short amount of time. They went from being known around their city to being known all around Japan as players that could change their nation's future. How amazing was that? Reo looks down at Isagi. He was a little different after that final goal. His shot was amazing. The twin vortex volley was incredible. But since that shot, it seems that Isagi's been dormant, as if he was building something up within his mind. Just what are you thinking about? Isagi holds out his hand towards the sun. Reo, that final shot, it was nothing but luck. His friend, who couldn't imagine that it was, sits there in silence. Isagi continued on. Within those final moments leading up to the shot, my mind was blank. Then, when I came to, I was in the middle of taking the shot and swinging my leg, but it felt like I was out of position. And then I realized it. My position was perfect. My leg swing was perfect. Where I was aiming was perfect. Everything seemed right. But I just tripped. So in my mind, that wasn't the twin vortex volley. It wasn't the true shot that I had been developing. Because within my mind, that's an unpredictable shot that has a knuckle mixture to it. But instead, it became more like my phantom direct shot. I don't understand how it was able to go in, but it did. And that's been eating me up ever since. Luck. It's something that I hate so much, leaving everything up to chance. That's not how I want to live my life. But that shot, it forever changed our lives, and it was just purely luck. Before Reo could even say anything or cheer his friend up, his phone went off buzzing. A text from Jinpachi Iko. Soon, the returning players are introduced to the Egoist League, something brand new to Japan and the world of football. Each team was shown on the screen, and Reo walks over to Isagi. Wherever you end up choosing is where I'll follow. We need to continue growing together. Our dream, it's right there, Isagi. Can't you feel it? Isagi nods and the two will bump fists, as they would later be seen entering the Uber stratosphere with Aiku, Nico, Ryu, and a few others. Snuffy makes his debut, saying that football is very similar to a job, with everyone having their specific job that helps the overall company. Soon, asking the young players if they were ready to get to work. With their first practice days later, we'd see a 3-on-3 match going on between Ryu, Nico, Sendo, and Isagi, Reo, and Aiku. In this short skirmish, Isagi's team overwhelms them with strength, synergy, and even shots. Soon after, Snuffy would talk to Isagi alone, saying that he had read his file, as he's very similar to another player that he's coached up, introducing their new Gen 11 defender, Don Lorenzo, the Ace Eater, who walks over to Isagi, stating that he's Japan's current hero. So, this is who Snuffy has chosen to look after for some time. Isagi looks at Lorenzo, holding his fist out. Whether you like it or not, you're going to help me become the world's best. Lorenzo laughed, showing his gold teeth. I can smell it. You're a street cat just like me. Lorenzo then walks over, beginning to exit the room. Well, it's a good thing you joined the Ubers. You'll never have to work another day in your life, if football is something you love after all. Time passes, and the first match for the Ubers gets announced. Ubers versus PXG. A lineup is made for the team as they walk out sporting their uniforms. Ren and Isagi would meet in the middle of the field. He was still angry over the comments that his brother made towards Isagi after the match, fueling the fire even further. So now he needed to prove to himself and the world that he could crush this ant. Reo, while looking on, has a flashback where we'd see him and Snuffy. Within a monitoring room, Snuffy asked Rayo why he was here. I joined the Ubers, not only for Isagi, but myself. I want to become a midfielder, on par with that of Itoshi Sai. Snuffy turns to him, beginning to explain something. Within your own imagination, it seems that you're limited. Why try to become a player on par with someone like that? Because what if I told you that with the right training and the right steps, you could surpass that image of Itoshi Sai that you hold within your mind? Images and information appear around him. Mikage Rayo, the ultimate version of yourself, will surpass anything that you could have ever dreamed of. Going back into the match, the kickoff began as it was PXG who was on the offensive. This is when Nanase and Charles moved into formation, passing the ball back and forth up the field, getting around the Uber's defenders within the middle of the field, and getting one final pass up towards Rin. As it soars through the air, we'd see the gold teeth begin smiling. A sloppy pass, but I expect nothing less from a brat. Betting on a striker who has to go against me. Well, isn't that foolish of you? But that's a gamble I'll take every day. Lorenzo then blocks it, sending it up the field to Rayo, who traps it before spinning around Nanase. As he thinks who was open, Charles stands in his way. Rayo's eyes then begin to shift, and his flow flares up. Snuffy then stands up, smiling. Show the world your true self. Rayo then nutmegs Charles, stepping by him and sending the ball right to Isagi. It flows through the air as Isagi traps it for a shot, but right in front of him is where Rin would appear. I'll destroy you, Isagi. I can't let you surpass me any longer. These two would clash over and over again. Even though Isagi was much better, he was in a limited amount of space, so his shooting range was blocked off from where he was currently. This caused the ball to fly out into another open spot and becomes a 50-50 ball. Before it even hits the ground, it seems that Mikage Rayo was already on it and he was there in position. The flashback would then soon end with him and Snuffy, with the final words coming from his master. The first step into realizing your true self is for you to understand that even though you join the Ubers to support your friend who's a striker, a true midfielder should always be ready to pick up the pieces and score as well. Rayo then shows off his chameleon shot as it launches into the back of the net, putting the Ubers up by 1 in this match. Here is where Loki sees the problem and instantly switches out Rin for Shido, to the anger of Rin, but also switches out Nanase for Karasu. In PXG's next possession, we'd see the true chemical reaction between Shido and Charles, a twin demon super goal that ties the game and electrifies everyone watching. Something that the world has never seen before. Snuffy would then notify all players while on his team that they'll be changing things up a little bit, going into the 4-4-2 formation. Isagi then sends the ball down to Rayo, who sends it back to Lorenzo. Hurry up, you goddamn zombie. We then see Isagi with his metavision. Lorenzo rushes up the field with his zombie dribbling, getting by Charles and Karasu with the help of Rayo. Now moving into the defensive line, Tokimetsu stood in his way. But Don Lorenzo runs by him, dragging him along with him. This leaves open space, with Lorenzo smirking. You fell for it. A backheel pass rolls behind them and heads to Isagi. Shido is able to get there just a little bit behind him, but Isagi spins off of him and flicks up the ball. Charles tries to stop it, but then it was another fake. Rin, who was on the bench, gets a flashback to the U20 match. The true twin vortex volley rips through the air as a knuckle shot and goes into the top corner, being unpredictable. After this, the Uber's defense moves into its next phase, overwhelming PXG with their offense, leading to Rayo scoring the final goal and them winning the game. Isagi and Rayo celebrated, and Snuffy was happy with the team's progress, but he knew that there would soon be a conflict leading up to their next match. As we'd see Mark Snuffy and Yoichi Isagi having their own one-on-one training. This was the next step for Yoichi Isagi, as Snuffy shows off his own metavision and how unique it was, explaining how soon Isagi will be able to predict all outcomes for the play at hand and make the best decision for the situation that he'll be in. But the next match was soon announced. Ubers against FC Barta. Spain's team starts with the ball, and Bartra goes to take down the Ubers by himself, first coming across Rayo. Using his monster dribbling, he performs dribble combos unseen before. He was truly moving, as if he was free from all attachments but football. His butterfly style kept Rayo on his toes. This is when Rayo began to copy the defensive stances of Aiku and Lorenzo. With their silhouettes appearing behind him, the ultimate defensive midfielder was now present. Snuffy was even impressed with this, watching him steal the ball and head up the field with his chameleon flow. Come on, Isagi. Let's continue to change the world. Dribbling ahead, we'd see Isagi moving into position. The defenders on Barca noticed that he wasn't even looking back. He was just running where he felt like he should. Did he really trust his teammate that much? Out of nowhere, Isagi jumps into the air. As then we see behind him, Rayo using his chameleon flow, this time turning into Itoshi Sai for a moment, using the Travella pass, which flies through the air, and Isagi scissor kicks it into the net. The first goal being declared in this match was something that was spectacular. Those around the world watching truly celebrated it, as Isagi again makes himself known to the world. But now the match had to continue. It's clear that Barca can't make it through the Uber's defensive midfield, leading to another quick steal and counter. Isagi gets the ball, but is guarded by both Otoya and Bachara, and with this double team cutting off all angles for his shot, his metavision begins to process everything around him. However, since he's been with Snuffy so much, he actually begins predicting the potential plays that could happen here. Seeing that he needs even more to become creative, he draws in Otoya, as he was the better defender, and then uses his strength to cut him off from stealing the ball. Next, he flicked the ball right into the ground, where Bachara will be forced to move, trying to steal it from him. Continuing this chain of combos, Isagi flicks the ball into the air once again. But as Bachara watches it, Isagi moves in a free space, jumping into the air and performing a bicycle kick that soars into the net, taking a page out of Ryusei Shido's book. The broadcasters and commentators begin going crazy at the fact that Japan's hero has done it yet again. Truly, a sensational goal and a sensational athlete cut above the rest of his peers. Levinho can no longer just sit and watch, so he stands and begins to sub himself into the game, asking Snuffy if he plans to enter as well. He declines the offer and goes from sitting down to standing up. The players on the bench ask their master why he wasn't going to sub in, but Snuffy just told them to watch. Another great player is going to evolve within this match. Levinho leads Barca on the attack and ends up in the backfield, with Aiku guarding him. This is when he destroys the defender, scoring a goal, bowing to the world, putting on a dribbling performance like no other to give his team some morale. Lorenzo asked Aiku if he was okay, only for our captain to stand back up, not saying a word. On the next play, the ball is intercepted, leading to Barca on the offensive. Levinho and Bachara rush through the field with their unorthodox chemistry, but as Levinho traps the ball again, Aiku stands there. You again? Didn't you already learn your lesson? Huh, I'll just make you bow to me again. Aiku would rush in, but as he goes to take down Levinho, he shows off the true dribbling of a master. Still, Aiku's able to just barely keep up, eventually cornering Levinho because he had gotten cocky. Running after the loose ball, Aiku continues forward, taking possession of it. Snuffy, while sitting back down, closes his eyes, thinking about his personal training with Aiku. You know, you're a unique case, Oliver Aiku. A striker turned defender, meaning you know what it's like to live both sides of the world of football. That will either be your greatest disability or your most powerful experience as a player. Tell me something. Do you think it was anything that you could have done back when you played Blue Lock in the U20 match? Aiku was frozen for a moment until a video appears on the screen of him just trapping the ball and sending it right to a wing player who had it stolen. You should already be able to see what I'm getting at here. Why limit yourself to just being a high-class defender when you could be the ultimate dual-threat player? Football is evolving as we know it, so we as humans must continue to evolve with it, especially if you wish to stay employed for quite some time. Returning back to the present, Aiku moves across the field, and as he does so, his flow switches color. From the calm, transcendent green to a lustful and powerful blue, representing his two different eye colors. His striker abilities were now on full display as he bursted by a defender and ran into open space. Seeing incoming players, a hand was raised to his left. Mikage Rail receives the pass from Aiku, and the two begin to have their own special chemical reaction, leading to the final goal being scored by no one other than Oliver Aiku here. Isagi and Rail walk over to him, congratulating him on the goal as they didn't expect it at all, and the three monsters begin walking off the field together. Snuffy would stand up, telling those who were on the bench to come with him. It seems that he's created quite the team, and they need to prepare for something even greater to come. However, within the Germany stratosphere, we see that BM, or Bastard Munchen, was watching their match, and even Noel Noah was impressed with the Ubers, saying that this will be their toughest match. In order to defeat them, Noah must stray away from their strategies that he's created. Precise and calculated moves are the only way for them to climb to the top. He tells everyone, especially talking to those three players, to not do whatever they want. While watching film leading up to his next match, Isagi is approached by Don Lorenzo, of all people. The defender was just eating junk food and asked what Isagi was doing. I want to understand something. Michael Kaiser, or God's chosen emperor, that's my next opponent. Up until now, every striker I've faced, they've all been mediocre in a way. But now it seems I'm going to face someone who will be my greatest challenge to overcome. A truly polished player. Kaiser. It's like he's a more perfected version of myself. So how could I outsmart him on a grand stage like this? Lorenzo just looks at the screen and laughs, putting his hand on Isagi's head, ruffling up his hair. Leave Michael to me. You just score as many goals as you can this game. Make it a declaration. Your own. Lorenzo leaves the room with crumbs on the floor, which aggravates Isagi, who stares at the screen, watching the Kaiser impact once again. It then shifts to the match at hand, as both teams arrive on the field. Baru and Kaiser would greet Isagi, saying that this is where he falls. BM was undefeated up until this point as well, so these two powerhouse teams would go down as a crazy match. With them beginning on the offensive side of the ball, they rush down the field, and Alexis Ness flicks the ball over a defender and sends it right to Kaiser. A pinpoint pass like no other that they'd practiced time and time again. However, Don Lorenzo saw right through it, blocking the path, and even if he didn't get it, Oliver Aiku was even behind him to stop the ball as well. Yo, Michael, I think you're getting soft, relying on a runt like that. Lorenzo takes the ball up and begins the counter, as Isagi receives it near the midfield, but Kaiser is the one that chased him down. Isagi begins dribbling to maneuver around the Emperor, but no success at all. Each move was met with a counter. Isagi is then forced to flick the ball with the outside of his foot to Rayo, which shocks Kaiser for just a moment, allowing Isagi to use his spatial awareness to get into his blind spot and then score a goal. With the game starting off with a bang like that, Isagi realizes to beat Kaiser, he needs to reinvent himself. by studying the Emperor. Doing just that with his metavision, he begins watching Kaiser around the field. But it wouldn't be him scoring the next goal. Instead, it was Baru, who had forced a shot through everything with the Predator eyes. Isagi knows to himself that this is Germany's real threat, their offense, Germany's true empire, the Emperor, chosen by God, Michael Kaiser, the king who looks down on the people as a tyrant, Baru, and even a wild card who you never knew what you were getting out of him, and the jester, Kunigami. Isagi suggests to Snuffy a formation change, causing the Ubers to go into a 3-5-2. A flashback to Snuffy, teaching Isagi more about the flow state, replays in his mind. He's reminded that he needs a true catalyst. Isagi then thinks of his past, with his eyes becoming serious and his aura appearing once again, forcing himself into the flow state alongside metavision. Even Kaiser could tell that something had shifted within him. Raising his own guard, Isagi sped right by him, surprising him. Getting into position, he then drawed in Kaiser. But not only Kaiser, Raichi as well. With his back towards Gagamaru, Isagi knew what he needed to do. Running right towards Rayo, who had the ball, Kaiser was forced to follow and mark him. Just what was he planning? As the two approach each other, Rayo flicks the ball into the air, just running next to it. And as it floats, Isagi jumps, passing it with the back heel to Rayo, who was on the move. Instantly landing, he crosses it back towards Isagi, who could now get open. But as he continues to go forward, Baru recovers for his team, calling Isagi lackluster and full of himself. This is where he takes him down, showing him who the true king was. Isagi ignores all of this, telling himself, it seems all the conditions are met. Kunigami, who was far from the play, would know what this means. Isagi's own phantom shot soars into the net, giving the Ubers the lead once again. All around the world, celebration occurs as Isagi stood above all. The commentators grab each other in excitement. Yoichi Isagi, he's done it again. His shooting ability puts him above all, and we see why Japan has declared him their hero. When we see a hat trick from him today in this match, BM goes back into the offensive, but now Kaiser and Baru are locked down, leaving only one more person who could score. Germany's own dark horse and jester, Kunigami, rockets a goal into the net with a right foot shot from outside the goal box. With this goal, it leads to the game's climax, with the game being tied once again. Both masters would sub into the game. Ubers would then enter a 4-3-3 formation. Starting with the ball, they had the advantage, as we'd see Snuffy and Rayo have their own chemical reaction within the midfield and completely take it over. Rayo has the ball, with Snuffy advising him to end it all. With the space that he's at in the distance, he could, if he just pushed himself a little bit further, he could summon the power to hit this shot. So he does so, ripping a curved shot, copying Itoshi's Sai, which was something that BM was prepared for, up until Gagamaru jumps to try and hit it, only for it to hit the top post. And as it does, it's being sent more towards the ground as it ricochets off of it, shocking everyone around that Rayo had missed and Gagamaru couldn't get the save on it. Watching the ball bounce, it felt as if it was in slow motion. But as we see everything around, we see that Rayo has a chameleon flow around him, and he gives off a sinister smile. Kaiser, with his own metavision, is able to see what just happened, realizing that it wasn't a shot at all. He then turned towards the ball, looking ahead as he could see it. There was no one inside the goal box but Isagi and Gagamaru. What a twisted way of events. A 1v1 to decide the game? How could that even be fair? But could Gagamaru even stop Isagi's shot? Isagi captured what was really a pass from Rayo. It was too late for anyone to even do anything. Isagi watches the ball bounce, and puzzle pieces begin to form around him and fly around him again within the flow state. A puzzle piece that states luck on it appears once again, as Isagi ends the game here, exploding with excitement, ripping off his jersey and jumping into the air. His team jumps all around him as they would celebrate this win. And with the next match after this one, it would be a complete wash as well. Even though Kira and Shiguri were an amazing duo, that's as far as they would get on Munchen City, only scoring 1 goal against the Ubers, meaning that here, Italy's Ubers were the one winning the Neo-Egoist League. And with the final rankings appearing for Blue Lock, Isagi stood at the top alone, not tied with Ren here, but not too far under him. At number 4 was Rayo. And as of now, this is where our story will end.